So this video is the third part of the character selection system for a templerun prototype. And the first thing that I'm going to do over here is that we're going to now complete our camera movement logic in here. So I'm going to go to the store blueprint widget, and in here we need to go to the graph view and go to the event graph over here. And from here I'm going to go to the left side, drag down, and you have this option called variables, and under variables we have this left and right buttons. These two buttons actually represents the UI buttons that we have created in the designer view over here, the right and left buttons over here. So what I'm going to do is click on the left button over here under variables, and then in here under details we have this option called events, and under here we have the on clicked event that we can select by clicking on this plus icon. Similarly, we need to do that for the right button, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and type get player pawn. I'm going to drag the return value and then type cast to BP camera. Connect the execution pin, and then from here I'm going to drag the as BP camera and type left. So this is the custom event that we have created for the left button. And similarly, I'm just going to copy these two nodes over here, paste it over here, connect the execution pin, drag the SBP camera node over here and search for the right custom event. Compile, and I also need to do a couple of things over here which I made a mistake. In the BP camera blueprint, under move camera variable over here we have the details panel, and under details panel we need to set the default value of the move camera to true. So make sure to do that for the move camera variable over here. And secondly, we need to change this node, which is currently the less than node, to a greater than node. So I'm just going to remove that, drag the pin and search for greater. Connect the boolean pin to the AND node over here. And now if I were to compile this and run, and if I were to click on the right button, the camera is moving and it doesn't move anywhere beyond this point. Similarly, if I press on the left button, it moves to the left side but doesn't move anywhere beyond this point. So currently our camera movement is working properly, and again it's also properly showing which object we are currently selecting. Now to explain how all of this actually works, firstly we have our two custom events over here, the left and the right custom events, which controls the movement of our camera, and these two are triggered whenever we press the appropriate button widget. So when we press the right button widget, it will first get the camera's relative location on the x-axis and compare it with the value over here, that is 400. If the camera's relative location on the x-axis is less than 400, it will return true. If otherwise, it will return false. The reason we compare the camera's relative location every time we trigger this custom event is to prevent the camera from going beyond a certain distance, because we don't want our camera to move to a position where there is no character to select from. We also have the move camera boolean over here that connects to the AND boolean node over here, and this node over here will return true only if both the greater node and the move camera node over here returns true. And the reason we are doing this is to prevent bugs that will occur when you double click on the button, such as the camera moving further than 400 in the x-axis. The move camera boolean also helps in preventing bugs that will occur when you press the right button and then quickly press the left button before the camera could complete its movement. Again, this custom event will only work if both of these are true. And if the AND node over here returns true, then we will set the move camera to false. And this is so that we cannot press on the left or the right button immediately after pressing it. So it will not accidentally end up triggering this event twice. After that, we have the sequence node over here that will first get the camera's relative location and set it as location A, and then add 200 on the x-axis and set it as location B. This 200 over here refers to the distance that the camera should cover each time you trigger this event or press the button. And this is the reason why I set the position of the characters at 0, 200 and 400 in the x-axis. And that is because it will make it more easier for us to move the camera at a set distance, that is 200, each time we press the button. So you can see the difference between each of these positions is by 200. And that is the reason why I set it as 200 over here. And then down below we have the timeline node over here. And again, you will notice that the execution pin is connected to the play from start. And the reason we are setting it at the play from start is so that each time we trigger this event, it will make the timeline run from 0 to 1 again. So once this timeline has been triggered, it will go from 0 to 1 and then stop. So when we press the button again, we want the timeline to start once again from the beginning, that is from 0 all the way to 1. And what this whole section over here does is that it basically moves the camera from location A to location B based on alpha. And this alpha is connected to the new track float value over here. And this moves the camera at world location. So you can control how fast or how slow you want the camera to move by controlling these points over here. So if you want the camera to go faster between each characters, you can just decrease this length over here to a smaller value, and that will make the camera move from 0 to whatever a lot faster because it's spending less time moving. Alright, and I also mentioned that I will explain why I added this second key over here, and the reason for that is mainly for a cinematic effect. So if I were to move this like this over here, when I run this, you can see how it suddenly moves but then slows down as it reaches the character. But again, that is the main reason why I have added this one over here. It's mainly for a cinematic feel. So again, something you can do over here is select all these keys over here, right click and select auto. And what this does is that it basically smoothens out how the value of the float track over here appears. Again, if you don't like this, you can just remove this over here. Just click on the key over here and hit delete. So again, it's up to your choice. If you don't want that key, you can choose not to have it. But yeah, that's what this whole section over here does. In the case of our left custom event, it's mostly the same thing. Again, over here, the relative location of our camera on the x-axis must always be above 0. And again, this is to prevent our camera to go below 0 on the x-axis because there is no characters over there. There is no reason to go below 0. But again, if you want to make the camera to go below 0 for whatever reason, you can choose to do that. And again, you have the flexibility over here. You can just change the values over here. And again, it's all mostly the same thing. Over in the left custom event over here, the location B is actually minus 200 that we are adding to the current position. And minus 200 literally means it's going backwards. So this is plus by 200. And this movement over here is minus 200. It's going backwards. And yeah, that's basically what both of these two custom events does. And in the timeline, it's again mostly the same thing. In both of these timelines, after they have completed the camera's movement, that means it will trigger the finished execution pin over here. it will basically move towards this box trace over here. So box trace is simply a variant of Unreal Engine's line trace. So there are many types of trace that you can use in Unreal Engine to detect objects in the game. I'm using a box trace over here instead of a line trace, mainly because it's a little bit more easier to use. So if you're using a smaller character as one of your selectable characters, for example, you could easily miss the line trace and you might not be able to select it. And to prevent such issues, I'm using the box trace. When we just start the level, we'll be checking with our box trace what we have currently selected. And then for our start and end positions, I already kind of explained it, so I'm not going to go too much in depth about it. But again, you have a lot of controls over here. If you want the box trace to be a lot more bigger, or maybe you want it to make it a little bit more longer or something, you can just change the values over here. So I can just make it more of a rectangle if I wanted. And you can see it looks like this. So if you want it to look like this, you can choose to do it. And again, you have a lot of controls over here. The trace channel again is set to visibility, and the draw debug type is set as persistence. But if you want, you can choose to use something else like for duration or for one frame and such. There are dedicated videos about this, so you can refer to that. And from here, we are simply breaking the hit result from the out hit over here and getting the hit actor and receiving its name and setting it as the character name over here. And this character name over here will be what we are going to use in our gameplay level to detect which character we have selected in the store level. So we can use that in our third person runner level as a playable character. And yeah, that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you later. Bye.